Thank you for tuning in to Off the Cut episode 123, not 4, 5, 6, or 7, but 123 for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024.
Whoop.
And the Bourbon Blade is not out yet, but if you head over to kmtools.com, you can pre-order yourself a Bourbon Blade. So when it gets in, when it starts shipping, I messed it up. You can slice and dice and do everything nice.
Nice.
You think you think Jonathan would like that?
I think so. I think it'd be cool. He'd like that better than if it's in their shop. It's in their shop.
Right. But I mean, that's what it is. Everything over at kmtools.com is made for woodworkers by woodworkers.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's in their shop, it's in their shop, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a perfect alliteration. I don't know why he's not paying me to write his marketing material for him.
Yeah, you should be on his team. But if you want to pick up a Bourbon Blade, which is a chisel pocket knife,
I got it pulled up on my screen right now. It is so cool looking.
Give us some marketing highlights, Zach.
Okay, well, it's a fold-out knife that also works as a chisel, and they actually thought this thing through. They did a lot of research on that pivot point, because if there's slop in that pivot point, it's not going to work very well as a chisel. No. It's going to, every time you use it, it's going to it's going to slowly essentially kill itself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you watch the video? Well, first off, we'll wrap this up real quick. Sure. If you want, the best part about KM Tools is a portion of their proceeds goes directly to the Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund, which means that the tools and resources get into the hands of the folks who need it most.
Yes, sir.
And Jonathan is giving away a $50 gift card to KM Tools. All you have to do is go over and sign up on patreon.com/offthecut-podcast, and you're automatically entered to win, which we are doing the drawing tonight. But first,
hell yeah,
I want to get back to what you're saying about the knife, because I'm genuinely interested in this. Ad read over, but
yeah. What you want to talk more about that pivot point, or like all the stuff that goes into it?
Yeah. So did you watch the video that Jason and Jonathan both put out?
I saw the really sexy, like, cool shots, like smoke-filled room.
Yeah.
Is there another one?
Yeah, so Jonathan put out a full, I would say it's more like behind the scenes one, and Jason put out a slightly different video. But they literally went and like talked about the design of how all the different like locking mechanisms work, and like, dude, it's pretty interesting. Even if you're not a knife guy, like you're like, there was a lot of thought that went into this.
Dude, I gotta talk to Jonathan, because I think he could do a seriously cool series of YouTube videos that goes more into like the behind the scenes of all the testing and stuff they do on these products.
Almost like it's like the Science Channel. Sorry, I got a little mic action. Almost like the Science Channel, like the How It's Made.
Yeah, kind of like. I imagine there must be. We know how to make build videos, right? Like, there's a certain arc you have to a build video. I don't see why you couldn't also apply that same formula to creating a product.
So a lot of like industrial manufacturing shots is kind of like what you're talking about.
No, just like talk about the story. Like, okay, like start with, why do we want to make this product? What's the challenge? What's the issue we're trying to overcome? And then, like, do you think that, like, we both know that the first batch of these knives that they got was not perfect?
Sure, it sucked.
And before they even got there, they probably had like 5 or 6 different prototypes, right?
Yeah.
So talk about like what goes into making the first prototype. What challenges did you hit with that first one? And then you had to like revise your design, and then like get into the logistics of having them manufactured overseas and then shipped in, or having I'm actually not sure where these ones are made. These ones might be made in America, actually. But regardless, like, talk about like what that process is like and what specific challenges you had with, at every step along the way.
Yeah, I think, Deric, did you watch Jonathan's video that he put out?
Oh yeah.
Really
interesting.
Yeah, he touched on that stuff, but I don't think it went as in depth as as you're talking about, Zach.
He
I
doesn't
can almost imagine like an hour and a half documentary on this almost.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I watched the one that him and Jason did, but I never watched the one that the Cats Moses did himself. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah,
because I know he said he was going to go into more depth on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll watch that. Maybe I'll eat my words.
Yeah. But I'm genuinely
right
pumped to get my hands on this thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's the right and left hand version because you want to have, if you think of a chisel, right?
Yeah.
If you're left-handed and you're cutting it like a knife, you would want the top of the chisel to be upward, right?
Yeah.
So then the knife blade has to. Yeah, exactly. The knife has to be on the left side of the chisel blade, and the same opposite. If you're a right-hander, you want the top of the chisel to be facing upwards. So you have to have the knife edge on the right side of the right side of the knife.
I bet you that was a like that's probably something they had to figure out through prototyping. I bet you the first iteration of that knife didn't have that feature.
Is Jonathan left-handed? Do you know? I don't think he is.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But I guarantee like somebody at at the HQ in Santa Barbara, he was like, hey buddy, check this out. Is that a good Jonathan impression?
Yeah, not bad.
He's like, hey buddy, you gotta check this out. And somebody else gets it and they're like, Jonathan, this is upside down. He goes, oh man, what do you mean? He's like, just I can't do this anymore.
This is a good clip.
Just, use it with your other hand. And it's like, Jonathan, I'm a left-handed. He goes, oh yeah, we probably need to make a left-handed version of the bourbon blade. I'll be right back. And he whips it up and then he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Bing bam boom.
Do you think what's the proportion of the population that's left-handed versus right-handed?
Okay. Without looking this up, 13% is what I'm going to go with.
I was going to say just a flat 10, like 90.
10? Okay.
Yeah.
Deric, what are the results? Give us the results. That's the Mario Kart. You just got a star sound effect.
Yeah. I knew I recognized that from somewhere.
I was playing it this weekend.
90%?
All of a sudden, I had the urge to crash into somebody near me.
So 90% are right-handed, so 10% left-handed.
Okay, I wonder if they ordered them in those proportions. Or do you think they're going to have some crazy sale on left-handed blades in a couple of years? Like, oh no, we ordered 50-50.
I can't imagine you would order 50-50.
No, I think they're smarter than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would hope, right?
You'd hope.
I mean, I'm sure this isn't this first lineup. Jonathan also's got the apron thing.
Are those handed as well?
They're left and right-handed because they hold like
I didn't know that.
Like a marking square thing on each side of them.
Nice.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah. I actually don't put any things in the pockets of my apron.
Yeah.
I really just use it to protect my clothes from like wood and finish and stuff like that. I basically just pop it on when I'm like using adhesives and whatnot, and then I take it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
should start using mine more. I'm just not I don't like throwing stuff on before I work, but it would be handy because I do go through a lot of clothes. Like I do.
How do you guys feel about designated work clothes versus? That's what I do. Okay, so you have like 12 t-shirts.
Exactly. I've just got a stack. I have a hierarchy. When I have a normal shirt and I get a big ketchup stain on it, I'm like, okay, this has now become a work shirt.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah.
See, I go down to the local print shop and they have those Bella canvas shirts.
Yeah.
For like $6-7 a piece. And I just buy a bunch of black or gray ones.
Yeah.
Ooh, do they ever sell you like misprints for real cheap?
I guess if I asked, they might. I never asked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I used to wear like the ugliest, rattiest clothes when I was working in the shop. But then I was like, is this a good look to be like, make it? Because now I'm that was before I started filming myself. And then after I started filming myself, I was working and there's like big holes in my shirt and stuff like that. You can see my nipple through at certain angles and stuff like that. I was like, maybe I should invest a few bucks in some wardrobe.
Yeah. I guess my problem is like, I feel like every, human has this problem, right? No matter what proportion your body is, it's so hard to find a shirt that you're like, oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That feels great.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten to the point in my life where if I put a shirt on and I'm not like, oh, this is a good shirt, I get rid of it. So I don't even have that many shirts.
Yeah.
So then it becomes like the same shirt that I wore, 3 days ago when I was gluing up a tabletop is now going to be the same shirt that I wore over to a buddy's house when we're going to like go watch, a hockey game or something like that.
I hear that. But then don't you run into a situation where you're like, you get glue on your hand and wipe it off on your shirt and you're like, oh, but this was it's one of
this is my date night shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is a date night with the boys shirt. I do run into that. And I just, I don't know. I need to find a good, reasonably priced shirt that I'm just like, man, fits like a dream, right?
Yeah. Well, no, what you need to be doing is finding, because the shirt that I'm wearing right now, the Spensley Design Co. shirt, you need to be wearing that in every single YouTube video and then just constantly plugging it. Be like, and by the way, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, you can get it at spensleydesign.com. Link in the video description.
Yeah.
Back to building this chair.
So I tried that for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And then I forget I was having a discussion with somebody at WorkbenchCon. I don't remember who it was. And the sentiment around it totally reflected what I had experienced with apparel sales.
Oh, okay.
People, for the most part, care way less about just your logo slapped on a t-shirt as they do some sort of like
in joke or something.
Yeah, like a in crowd, like community joke.
Yes.
And I don't feel like I'm creative enough to come up with like something punny like that I say in every video and then I can make a t-shirt off that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, true. Maybe you just need to like hire like a comedian or something.
I know.
Just find a comedian like on Fiverr and be like, I'll give you $200 to write a tagline for my YouTube channel.
You know what would be a really clever way to integrate us, like you just said, that Fiverr sponsor is literally just be like, so I hired somebody on Fiverr and I had them make up all these dope shirts, which by the way, they're like linked in the description, and you're basically just plugging your own product.
Yeah, that's great.
As the ad read.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
That's what I did with a Squarespace ad back in the day. I used to plug this.
Yeah, exactly. You plug, and I've seen other guys with like when they do Squarespace ads, they plug all like the products that they have on their website and stuff like that. Like, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of did the Fiverr one to plug the fact on the video that I'm putting out. I guess the day that this podcast comes out on Saturday, it'll be my next video comes out.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. It's that Helix carve table, and you know how I had so many issues with like getting the right angles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, and because I had the guy on Fiverr, give me this whole rendering and everything, I was able to make the plans that give you all the dimensions, so you don't have to deal with all this kind of stuff. And I guess that's kind of like a plug within an ad read, which is one way to do it.
Yeah, it's bonus, right?
Yeah.
So there's currently 9 comedians that you can hire on Fiverr.
Oh.
They all range in price.
How do you become a comedian on Fiverr?
It's a great question.
You just have to have 5 jokes.
Some of these are kind of weird. Some of these are maybe not the best accounts. This one, Michael J. I will
Fox.
Maybe. I will pro comedian secret comeback lines. That's not even a complete sentence, but he's got 25 5-star reviews. So
Sounds like he needs to find himself a Fiverr copywriter.
Oh,
yeah. I would not hire that guy, but there are some other ones on here that look pretty good.
I wonder if you could make work just connecting Fiverr people with other Fiverr people that need each other's services to better themselves.
You know what would be really funny would be to run like a Fiverr arbitraging service. So you list like a local classified where you're like, I'll do your like translation work for you. And you charge the client $200 and then you go hire somebody off Fiverr to do it for $100. I'm sure there must be people doing that.
This is like a never-ending trail of mailmen delivering other mailmen's mail.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
People have gotten like second jobs while they're working from home, and they've completely outsourced it on these websites.
Yeah.
And they collect 2 paychecks off of it.
Yeah.
Which is
I've heard people refer to that as professional polygamy.
Oh, I like that. That's funny.
It's good alliteration.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty. I don't remember where I heard it, but I was like, that's pretty clever.
I've heard of people having 2 jobs before, just if they're both kind of like low lift jobs where you don't have that much of a workload, you just do both at the same time and collect 2 paychecks.
So let's talk about that. Whose fault is that? Is that the employer's fault that they're paying you for 40 hours of work and not utilizing you to that?
Kind of.
100%.
Like that's just bad resource utilization on their part.
But I think it's
go
bad
ahead, Deric.
Classification. It's bad classification because they've got you hired in on a job where they're paying you an hourly wage for a job that really should be paid by the job.
Okay.
Or
a salary or whatever the case may be. So they're essentially just wasting time doing
it.
But, well, I mean, I guess if you're getting hired to do a job and the work gets done, like, I don't really see an issue with it personally. But
so think of it like you and your dad and the other people that are working on a home, right?
Yeah.
If you guys finish a home early, you stop working.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what do? You get another house to work on. Like, you don't just drag it out for the sake of dragging it out. I mean, you could, but
well, and that's why I think it's so important to like structure deals correctly, and
right.
Yeah, which I guess is to your point, Deric, right? Like maybe these should be piecemeal jobs. Maybe they should be paying by the output or something like that. But like that's on the company for, again, it's poor resource management. They're not utilizing their human capital well.
Right. Yeah. And I'm curious, like when you sign your onboarding with a company or whatever, or did you sign anything that says like I won't have a second job, or like
you may very well. I think there is like obviously there's some room for like it to be unethical if you're working for like 2 competitors or something like that. If you're
poaching clients.
Yeah, or poaching clients or using trade secrets from one company to help another company or something like that.
Yeah, you usually sign like a non-compete or in like an NDA type situation so that any of the knowledge you gain on the job you can't use anywhere else for so long after your employment.
A lot of companies too have clauses in your employment contract that they own anything you create while you're on the job. So, if you're and it's very far reaching too. So if you're working your day job and then like you have a down hour and you start making YouTube videos, I think by the letter of the the contract, they actually own that YouTube video. Or at least a portion of it.
But see, then let's make this up. Let's say that's the case. I mean, I'm definitely not a lawyer. How do they prove that during the hours of 9 to 5 was when you were creating that video and not after work or on the weekends?
Totally.
Well,
unless they're
whenever I was working at Texas Instruments, we signed in our contract where any patents that I come up with or try to file, they own. for the entirety of my career there, plus 5 years. So 5 years after I leave, if I try
No
to
way,
patent,
really?
they would
Is that enforceable? Yeah. I wonder.
If they could, like if I filed one and they found out about it, they could.
Yeah. What about if you had your wife do it?
That might get you around it, maybe.
What about if you had a pseudonym?
Yeah, you have a pen name.
Yeah. You guys ever thought about having a pen name for your YouTube channel? Like, what if Zach's name isn't actually Zach?
Maybe. I mean, the whole Zach Builds is, that's my pseudonym, right?
Yeah.
But
That's
it would
fair.
be funny if it was something that was completely
Connor creates.
Jerry Rig Everything. Everybody thinks his name is Jerry, but it's actually Zach.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah.
I never knew. I was this days old. I was today years old. Interesting.
Well, it's like last week we had on Logan Newman, and you kept calling him Newman.
Oh, dude.
Newman, yeah.
I have called him Newman forever.
Yeah.
I think it's because it just shows up as Newman Specials.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing you see the most often when you look at his profile, right? You actually have to know him to know his name is Logan.
I remember the first time I met him, he was like, "Hey, my name's Logan," and I was like,
"No, it's Newman."
I was like, "What?" I was genuinely. It was in India at the festival thing.
Yeah,
I was so confused. I was like, I thought it was Newman, and he's like, "Logan Newman." I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." That's too funny. Well, tried to come up with a good segue, but I didn't have one. Tonight is the giveaway, the aforementioned giveaway I was talking about. So, Deric. Oh, sorry, too much seltzer water. So, for everybody who doesn't know about this, every single month, and it should have been last week's episode, but we had a guest, so we weren't trying to derail things.
Oopsie doodles.
We take all of the folks that have supported the podcast over on patreon.com/offthecutpodcast. We throw them into a random generator. It does some magic, and it picks out the winner of the $50 Cats Moses Tools gift card. So, Deric, I want you to give me the honors. How many times do you want me to refresh said randomizer?
All right, let's do it.
Are you gonna pick a random generator to pick the number?
I picked. Yes, it's 7.
There it is. All right.
Generated a random number of 7.
Wait. Should we now reduce by 1? Because it's always such a tease for that person who's almost there. So we have our number 7.
I like that.
6.
I like it. Okay, we're doing 6. You heard it here first, folks. Now, do we want to do the thing where I announce the names for each one?
And you got to announce 7 too.
Oh, okay. I will announce 7.
Okay.
How about this? I'll just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the winner for number 6 is. So I won't say the first 5 names. I'll say name 6.
Okay.
And then I'll say name 7. So that they come to your house and burn it down, Zach.
Perfect.
Great. All right. There's a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and lucky number 6. Look at this. Corey Duvall is the number 6 winner. All right. Corey, writing this down.
I'd like to see it go to a long-term supporter of the show like Corey.
Absolutely. Nice. Corey's been with us for a while, and he sent me some lovely honey as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
Made a cocktail with it. Lovely honey, Corey. So, you probably want to know who number 7 is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is Bailey Thompson, our good friend Bailey. Sorry, Bailey.
Sorry, Bailey.
There's always now. See, now I feel bad.
I know.
We've met Bailey several times.
I know.
Corey, I will get you connected with Jonathan, and they will get that all situated, and you'll be $50 closer to a fresh bourbon plate for yourself, left or right-handed.
Yes,
it's all you.
Nice.
Whew. Well, anyway, that was. I wish I could do. We say this every time.
What we'll have to do going forward is we'll have to have one of us come up with like a number between, say, 15 and 30, and the other one of us come up with a number between 1 and 10, and subtract the small number from the big number.
I like that.
Oh, okay.
That way we know there's no collusion.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always this idea that in giveaways, like it's always been predetermined, you know?
Yeah.
It's not that high of stakes here, you know?
The only way we could ever dissuade that would be to maybe we'll do a live screen recording or screen share of the randomized number generator.
I can't find a pen, so forgive me. I have to make a Siri. Hey Siri, remind me to text Jonathan that Corey Duvall won the giveaway tomorrow.
Okay, I added it.
Got it. Sorry.
Nice. I've never heard somebody say, "Forgive me, I have to make a Siri."
Is that like the oldest thing you've ever heard of?
Yeah, maybe.
I have to do the Google.
Did you make the Siri?
I made the Siri.
On the Google.
Yeah.
That might be the show title.
I think that should be the new term for making a number 2. I'm gonna make a Siri.
I think the show title should be the one where they practice. What was it? Something polygamy? Professional polygamy. Yeah.
Or Deric had the one where they plugged themselves.
Where they plug them. Yeah, that's good too.
That's pretty good. Well, so I feel like we haven't. It's been a while since we've caught up. What are you up to, Zach? What's going on, man?
Dude, I'm still trying to figure out that project that I was working on last week. I was actually away all weekend, and yesterday I just got back home like 2 hours ago.
Oh wow!
So I don't really have much of an update. That's a long-winded way of saying I don't have much of an update for you. I've been stuck in place on this project.
Tell me about the weekend if you've got any good stories or just a general update. What'd you do?
Yeah, it was my birthday weekend, so I rented a cottage with some friends.
Hell yeah.
And
I always forget that our birthday is only like a couple days apart.
True. Yeah.
So yours is what, the 6th?
8th. And
mine's the 3rd. And see, okay. I never even write it down. I'm the worst with friends' birthdays. I never write them down.
Every year I give my friends the gift of not having to get me a gift for my birthday or remember my birthday. Or
just like, let's just hang out. Like, get together, have brewski. Like,
that's exactly what we did. We sat on a dock, we drank some beers, we had some barbecues. It's a good time.
Yeah. Any memorable stories that you care to share that are appropriate for the kids?
Let's see. I did nothing that was like too crazy standouts. So saw some deer, saw some fun wildlife. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, nothing too crazy. Just a good wholesome weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I was at my buddy's lake house as well. I guess.
Oh, nice.
The only good story I've got, I guess it's not a super big story, but have you noticed that when you get older, you still have these like childhood tendency ideas that pop up in your head?
Sure. Like picking up a big rock and throwing it in a lake.
Right. Things like that.
Yeah.
Well, it was like about a week before I was going, and I got to thinking, you know what would be a lot of fun that I never had? Is an radio-controlled boat.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Right. So now I'm sure you guys are both interested. You're like, I'm going to have to look these up. So I started going through on Amazon just late at night, and I found that you can pick up an RC boat for like $40.
Wow.
And they go like 30 miles an hour.
Oh, that's fun.
So naturally, I had to get one.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
See, this is what I'm saying. I picked one of these things up, and I brought it to first I told the guys, I was like, hey guys, I'm going to bring a boat or whatever. It was like, oh, it's stupid. Like most people didn't even respond. But one of my other buddies was like, that's a crazy idea. I got to get one too. So naturally we were racing them out there, right?
Of course.
And other boats would go by the dock and we would just zip out and our boats were faster than some of the boats on the lake.
Really?
And
Wow.
people would like try to race us. It was so funny. That was the best $40 I've ever spent.
Yeah, that's a good gift. So
How big
my
was
friend,
18 inches.
oh, that's awesome.
We talking about the boat?
Yeah. My friend brought his daughter to the cottage, and my other friend and I, we were going to buy, without telling our friend, we were going to buy her one of those Power Wheels, like cars that you can drive around in. We didn't end up doing it. We had to pull out at the last minute because there wasn't enough space in my car to also bring one of those Power Wheels things. But I was like, I am very obsessed with the idea of buying gifts for my friends' children to annoy my friends. And I think RC boat fits that description quite nicely.
Well, so here's the thing with an RC boat. If they don't live near a body of water, what the hell are they going to do with it? You can't put it in the bathtub.
True. You need some space.
They're going to beg their parents every chance they get to go take that boat out is what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll annoy them on a second level.
My friend lives about a 10-minute drive away from the beach. So it's not inconceivable that his daughter might force him to go out there and use the boat if she really liked it.
So what's been your favorite like noise-making gift or annoyance gift?
Well, I got the idea from my dad, actually. He got my cousin a flying pig. It was like an RC helicopter that looked like a pig.
I gotta Google this.
And he was like, I'm buying this just to screw with my sister.
RC pig, nothing's coming up. Pig helicopter?
RC flying pig. See if it comes up. This was years ago, so maybe it's no longer. Oh, I think I found it. I don't know. No, that's not it.
Huh. I mean, it sounds like a killer idea. Oh, wait. A Westminster. I found a flying cow. It's probably the same idea.
Yeah, this was years ago, so it might be that I'm misremembering it.
There's also an RC bald eagle. That would be nuts. To have an eagle soaring around.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Huh.
Is this it? Remote control flying pig? Oh, this looks horrible. I don't think that's
Brett said is it an air hog?
Ooh, air hog. Air hog.
Like
what is that? I remember that.
Brand of remote control car.
Oh, is it? What was your favorite RC car growing up? Do you remember the RC car commercials?
The only one that I remember off the top of my head was that it's like the 4-wheeler one with the big monster truck tires, and it would like roll over something, and then when it fell on its back, it could keep going.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I think it's called a Sidewinder or something like that.
Something like that. I remember the RC cars were huge in the 90s.
Huge. And they sucked. Did you ever actually get your hands on one?
The battery lasted like 5 minutes, maybe.
Maybe at the most. It was so funny. I wanted my parents to buy me one so bad. Sometimes they had their own like rechargeable battery packs, but they still
take the D batteries that were the size of like a can of pineapple juice.
Yeah.
You had to get from your
I wanted my parents to get me one so bad. And then finally I went over to my cousin's house and he had one. And I remember playing with it and just being like so disappointed. I was like, oh, I thought this would be amazing, but it dies in like 5 minutes, and you're like,
right.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that just you got to live it up to the nostalgia of the commercials, but once you actually get your hands on one, you don't actually want it.
Yeah, totally.
You don't actually want it. So no update on the new project.
No, unfortunately,
you're still stuck on it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're gonna like pivot to something and just come back to it, or are you still gonna like keep hammering home on it? What do you feel?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have a sponsor lined up for it. So I have no deadline on it. So I'm trying. Part of me is like, I need to get this video out so that I can keep to my cadence of posting once a month. But then I'm like,
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. Why am I holding myself to the standard that like nobody cares about other than me? So I'm trying to resist the urge to pivot. I'm like, stick to the original scope, take as long as it needs to take, unless you get I mean, if I get a sponsorship and they're like, we need the video done tomorrow, maybe I'll pivot, but yeah.
So I guess
That's where I'm at.
we should say this to the people listening. If you've ever wondered why you don't see as many videos out during the summer, there's a reason.
Yeah.
One, viewership is lower.
Yep.
Two, sponsorship dollars are like half.
Yeah.
And three, like, I don't know if I have a three. I think that's it.
Well, and the other thing I was thinking about is like, it's the summer. I want to be outside. I want to enjoy the summer a little bit. And now I finally have a career where I can set my own hours and take time off if I want to take time off. So I'm like, I should enjoy this a little bit.
That's kind of how I was feeling too. I'm like, I'm going to have a video coming out on Saturday, and that'll be like 50 days since my last video. And I'm like, okay, that's not too bad. Like,
that's not crazy. And your videos have been doing really well lately too, right?
Yeah, I've been super happy. They've been doing well. But then it also scares me, like, oh my God, am I going to put out a video during the summer lull time and it's just not going to do well just because it was the summer? Like, I don't know. But I mean, you could do analysis paralysis like all day with that kind of stuff.
Totally. So. Yeah, definitely.
And then I've already got something lined up for August.
Summer videos that aren't going to be good?
See, that's the thing. You don't know. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, now I've gotten to the point where, like, if
or I guess
I'm
the
not
ones you have the
confident,
least amount of faith in.
Yeah, but I would say I haven't even started working on a video that I'm not like, I really like this one. I've stopped just making a filler video. Like, I've 100% used to do that. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I think we kind of came to that same realization about the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I only make videos that I'm excited about and that I think will do well with my audience.
Right. And if
it means missing a sponsorship, like, I'm not going to pump out a video just
for a sponsor.
Just for a sponsorship, because I don't think that's a sustainable long-term. I don't know. Like, it doesn't work long-term.
Right. And that's kind of why I like to have videos like in the hopper per se, like video, and then like, well, I'll just wait till a sponsor comes around, and then I'll make it work because I already have the idea, and then it's just basically, crossing your I's, dotting your T's on that, and I don't know, I like that.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping, that this video would be like relatively quick and easy, and then I could keep it in the hopper for when I got a sponsorship. So the fact that it's taking a little longer is kind of neither here nor there. I'm not too pressed about it right now.
Right. One of the things that I'm kind of going through right now, and I've mentioned this earlier, is the fact that, like, we're in that time of, like, we know we're going to be buying a house soon. So I'm like, I don't need anything. Like, and I'm not super inspired to, like, build a new coffee table, build any sort of furniture. So I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Like, and then you just get kind of in this like stuck period where you're like, well, once we move, then I'll have stuff to build. And I definitely have like felt that like the last week. Yeah. But then I started getting to the point of like, okay, even if I don't film the video, what if I come up with I definitely want to build this. I definitely want to build this, and maybe start progressing, start working on things preemptively. Yeah. So what I mean by that is, go ahead.
Well, like getting like all the planning done and like
right.
Yeah. Figure out what parts you're going to make like a list of parts, maybe write out like a little outline for the video or whatever, like get all your ducks in a row so that when you are ready to go, you can just focus on doing the build and it's nice and easy. Right.
I guess what I'm saying is it's like taking your mind out of that, like feeling sorry for yourself and like, well, I can't do anything right now. It's like, that's not true. You always have the ability to work on something. And so like, I feel like I brought myself to that realization like later in the day. And I'm like, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to I clean the shop up there, because that's what I typically do when I feel like, oh, I don't know what to do. I just go clean the shop, because once I start getting my hands on things again, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a good idea. What if I thought about this? And it got me going. And like the first thing I'm gonna do is I know during the November, December time, I'm gonna put out a tool list video. So
obviously,
but in my head, I'm like, well, why would I work on that now if it's not until later on in the year? But I was like, why don't I just write down all the tools that I want to put in that video?
Yeah. Write
down the talking points or whatever on any of those tools. So then when it gets to the point of actually making the video, I'm like, oh, I basically just go out with the camera right now.
Yep. And also there's something nice about like having time to reflect on it. You write the list and then maybe let it sit for a month, come back to it and be like, oh, what was I thinking with number 3? Like, that's bad. Let me put this other thing in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll come up with a better tool or like a better, different way to structure the video or something like that. Or
yeah, exactly.
See something else inspires me to make it differently. But
yeah,
I feel like I'm good on that. But as far as building something, I'm like, I really want to physically build something right now, but I don't know what to build. That's what's driving me nuts,
So you don't have a next project lined up after the Helix table?
Right. I don't. I guess. Well, one that I have is do you remember the one carved coffee table that I poured epoxy on it and it had all sorts of bubbles and all that kind of stuff? I still have that slab done, waiting for Miranda to come help me carve it. And I mean, she's been so busy. She just started a new job. So like, I feel like I might just talk to her and be like, hey, realistically, are you going to want to work on this? Because if not, like, that instantly gives me something to work on right now.
Totally.
And I kind of just got out of that whole power carving project. And now for the Helix table. And now in my head, I'm like, I would do this, this, and this totally different with power carving. Now I feel like my mind's like fresh on power carving. It might be a good idea.
What about this? What about if you... So it's just like a oak slab, right?
Yeah.
Ready?
Right.
What about if you carve the one that's there, and then if Miranda wants to do it, you make another top, and then you could have like a his versus her battle video.
Honestly, that's a really good idea. And so what does that cost me? Like $100 in wood?
Yeah. It gives you something to do now. If Miranda, and so you can still make the redemption video, or you can pivot it into like a his and hers competition video if Miranda does decide that she does want to do it when she has a little bit more free time.
That's a good idea. I'll have to stockpile epoxy. I'll have to get a lot of epoxy.
I forgot about the epoxy.
But that's still, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. It's not an issue. That's not a bad idea. See, this is why it's helpful to brainstorm and think some of these things out loud sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I also start thinking of like, what if I just build projects and then just give them away to people? Like, there's also always that possibility.
There is always that possibility. It's like, it's a little tricky, I think, to find the right people to give stuff away to. I mean, obviously, you have your friends and family and stuff like that.
Right.
That's the easiest, right? So.
Goodwill. How funny would that be to like build this like whole custom coffee table or whatever, and then you just like, and have the perfect place for it. Throw it in the back of your car, and then do like a really far away shot of you driving up to Goodwill, just like handing it to like the donation folks and be like, here you go, put this in a good home.
Yeah.
And then just ending the video there.
Yeah.
I think that would either people would really like that or they'd be really mad by that.
I think there's two types of people. There's this automotive YouTuber that I watch, and his whole thing is like he just buys cars and trashes them. And people love his videos. Like he'll buy like a Ferrari and then drive it through a field and, F it up. And people love those videos. And there's another automotive guy I watch who did something similar. He bought a car and then he just kind of trashed it, like driving around on his property, and got a bunch of backlash for it. So it's like, it's kind of like, what kind of audience do you cultivate? Like, and I don't know. It can go both ways.
Yeah. I mean, but you could also say like, hey, I want to give a really nice piece of furniture to, you know, Goodwill or whatever. So that somebody can walk in that wouldn't typically be able to afford a totally custom piece of furniture and get something.
There you go.
Like maybe you spin it like that.
Right? That's a much better way to package that concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Goodwill then does sell it. Do you think that they would like say you put like a brand new, like $15,000-$20,000 8-foot long epoxy river table?
That would be really funny. That would actually add like a layer of intrigue to the video. Be like, okay, this project cost me, you know, $1,000 to build. Realistically, if a client approached me, I would probably have to charge $5,000 or $8,000 for it. Then put it in Goodwill and see what price tag do they slap on it.
Oh, honestly, that would be crazy. Like, are they going to be like $100?
Yeah. Or maybe they're, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know what the Goodwills like near you are like, but some of them here are kind of cheeky with the prices now.
Yeah. So I was, long story short, we were out after breakfast the other day, and there was like a consignment, like a used, like, you know, like Goodwill store or whatever.
Yeah.
And Miranda was like, hey, do you mind swinging by this real quick? I was like, for sure. Yeah. You can always get some good finds in there. I've never been to the store. It wasn't like a Goodwill, Salvation Army, you know, any of the ones that I've heard about before.
Sure.
It's like a one-off mom and pop place. Dude, they were selling used Keurig machines that were beat to snot for more than a new Keurig machine.
I've seen this before. I've seen people taking videos inside of Goodwills. And they'll be like, this T-shirt costs more here at the Goodwill than it does brand new from Nike or Puma or whatever the company is.
Do you think it's like basically just a reselling business?
I think, you know, to give them the benefit of the doubt, I think they don't think too hard about their prices. Like it's just, you know, it's some high school summer intern who has a price gun, and they go around and like, yeah, this shirt looks like it's about $20, and they slap a price tag on it and move on. So,
but the Keurig thing really threw me off. Like, it was literally like a beat up Keurig, $125. I'm like, you can get a brand new Keurig for like $70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to this. My friend works in the film industry, and he hooked me into this set sale thing. So basically, they take all the props and all the things that they use to film movies, and they rent a warehouse, and then they sell all the like leftover props and stuff from the movie. And sometimes you can get a really good deal. But I went with him recently, and I was like, you know, they had like old beat up iPads, and they'd be like $200. And I'd be like, this iPad's from like 2010. Like it's like, you know, if you were going to buy it on eBay, like a nice refurbished one, it would be this price. And this one's like all beat up and scuffed and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like the secondhand deals just aren't what they used to be.
I think you really have to know what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. You have to have like an encyclopedic knowledge of what everything costs.
I mean, the same thing goes with like, I mean, I used to do it. I don't do it anymore just because I found it to be a hassle. But like, you go on like, you know, Craigslist or Kijiji or like Facebook Marketplace or whatever to look for a good deal on tools. You have the broadest spectrum of prices that people are asking for.
Yeah.
It could be like a Ryobi drill. I want $700 for it. And you're like,
yeah, what the hell? No. But then other times somebody will have like a 13-inch planer, and it'll be like
$20,
$125, and you're like, oh, okay, that's very reasonable.
But see, then it makes you think: is it your duty as the buyer to like educate the seller? Like hypothetically speaking, right?
Yeah.
You know, 50 years from now, your dad passes and leaves all of his tools, and you know nothing about tools, right? And you're just like,
you're saying, yeah,
I don't know, this table saw sauced up, $100. Like,
yeah.
And then I see your listing. Is it my duty to be like, Zach, dude, this is like a $3,000 table saw?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think there's like a moral aspect to that?
Beholder.
I wonder. That's a good question. I mean, you never know what somebody's situation is, too. They might be like, well, I need this money now, so I'm pricing it ridiculously low so that I can, my house doesn't get foreclosed on tomorrow.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But yeah, it's a good point. Like, yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of made me think, like, I've been in the situation before where I've seen somebody sell something, and I'm like, it's almost too good to be true.
Well, yeah. And that might also
every time I've seen something super low, it is too good to be true.
It might be a scam, right?
Yeah. Gotta send this to my brother who lives in Uruguay.
Exactly. Oh, send me a check for... I'm going to send you a check for twice as much money as the listing, and then you're going to deposit that, and then you're going to refund me to pay for the shipping. It's like crazy convoluted stuff like that.
How does that scam work? Is it you deposit the check, it clears, and then they like resend? So
usually the way it works is they will say, it's usually when you're selling something.
Okay.
They'll say, okay, I want it, and I will pay. If let's say it's listed for $100, they're like, I'll send you $200. And then you will use 100 of that to pay for the shipping of the item because I'm out of town or something like that. So they'll send you a check for $200 that you'll deposit in your accounts. And the way like most banks work is they just show the money in your account immediately, and then they verify that the check is good later. And then if it's not, they'll subtract that balance. So it looks like the check deposited into your account. You have $200 more in your account. So everybody thinks like, oh, okay, great. Like the check cleared because they don't realize that the bank actually does the processing later. And then you give $100 to some mystery shipper that never shows up to pick up your package.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it now says that most checks clear within 2 business days.
Right.
So maybe it's not. I don't know.
I think
maybe it's different now.
I think, if you might be the type of person who gets that $200 check and then immediately, like that 48-hour window, if you're on the ball, can be a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody's waiting. Most people might not wait the 2 days to let it clear.
And they're using sites like PayPal and stuff now where they can charge back way later.
True.
Like they don't have
to do
it.
Oh.
It's not like a check where it's 2 days to clear. It's like they have a couple weeks to come back and say, hey, this was fraud, and it reverses the charge on you.
I didn't even think about that.
PayPal and all those sites, they never look into it. They're just like, yeah, sure. Customer's always right type of mentality.
Yeah.
Don't, for the most part, they almost always go to the buyer's side. For the most part.
That's a good question. I'm not sure, to be honest.
I know eBay was always like that.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, you'd sell stuff on eBay. People would go, the condition is broken when it showed up or something like that. They would pretty much always just be like, oh, the buyer's right.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, people are just a pain in the ass. And if somebody wants to screw you over, they will.
Right? Yeah.
You're never going to have a foolproof system.
No. And I think, most online vendors who are doing like serious volume, the way eBay and PayPal do, they work it into their margins. They know there's going to be a certain amount of fraud, but it's like, is it really worth it to track down all the fraud?
It's just like Costco, like their entire thing that they're known for is you return anything for any reason within 1 year.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
No problem.
Done.
Yeah.
My buddy actually did that this weekend. He got a new camping chair and it got trashed. Basically, somebody sat on it on a hill, and you ever try to sit on a chair on a hill and it instantly falls over?
Yeah.
It's one of those. It just absolutely rattled the chair. Took it back to Costco. They didn't. He said they didn't even ask. He was just like, "Hey, I got this chair a couple months ago and it broke," and the guy was like, "Okay, just go get a new one."
See, okay, so that's genius on their part because your friend, obviously, great experience. So they're like,
right.
I love Costco. Like, I will continue to shop here. Then it's free promotion because he tells you and everybody else. And now here we are talking about it on the podcast.
10 million listeners.
Exactly. You know how much people would have to pay for this kind of exposure normally?
A lot. But I mean, I guarantee when he was like, well, yeah, tens of dollars.
Yeah.
I guarantee he goes in the back and is like, well, I mean, while I'm here, I might as well get a 10-gallon jar of mayonnaise and some shampoo. So like, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And then those other stories of people that are, you're referring other people. And then I guarantee that they come and buy other stuff that they weren't typically going to buy as well.
And then you have other companies that take the opposite approach, like Air Canada. And I take every opportunity I can get to trash them on air.
Do not fly Air Canada.
No, definitely do not. So it's
have
two
you
different ways to operate.
Have you flown Air Canada since?
No. Well, actually,
didn't you have like a regional flight with them or something?
I had yes, you're right. I had a regional flight which was listed under a different name, a different company. And then when I arrived at the airport, they were like, this flight is actually operated by Air Canada. So it was a United flight that I booked. I was like, okay, United. And then, I got there and it was like United operated by Air Canada. They tricked me again.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
You can't make me do it.
But joke's on them because I took an upper decker in the passenger.
Oh God. Well, speaking of upper deckers,
I don't think you can access the tank in those.
I don't think you can access it.
No,
I was going to say, speaking of upper deckers, we want to give a huge thanks to our upper deck patrons.
Where you put it.
True.
You like see it, not top. We're going to say upper deck patrons. We got Joe Welsh at Delaware Valley Workshop, which, by the way, Joe, your last video that you put out did well, man.
Oh,
last time I saw it, it was well over 1,000 views, if I saw correctly, which is huge. That's awesome, man. Congrats. We've also got Goblin Spanker, Dan Armendrez, Corey Duvall, which Corey, by the way, I will send out that message tomorrow for you to Jonathan to get you connected with him for that gift card that you won. We've got Dadu and, of course, Josh at Sawdust Builds. Now, those are just some of our patrons that are helping us keep the lights on and keeping the show alive. And there are some of the patrons that are going to be able to listen to the after show every week, which is where we're heading now.
I like Joe's video, by the way. Over 2,000 views.
2,000 now. Congrats, Joe. That's awesome, man. That's a big deal.
That's great. He's got the simplified. He's tried out the simplified thumbnail system that I use and so many other creators use, where you just
very effective.
Blank out the background with a solid color.
Yeah. And dude, I saw he was playing the thumbnail game. He knows the thumbnail game. I saw you change it at least 3 or 4 times, man.
Oh yeah.
At least. Now you know the hustle, you know the grind, you know the anxiety that goes with putting a video.
Mm-hmm.
I already have 11 different thumbnails ready for Saturday.
Yeah, sometimes, I think John from Lincoln Street talked about this in one of his talks at Workbench one year, but sometimes I'll sit there and I'll make like 11 different thumbnails, and then I'll sit back and I'll be like, this is just the same thumbnail 11 different ways. You know what I mean? It's like there's not really that much variety to them. I have a hard time. Sometimes I get like tunnel visioned in on just like one concept. So it's good to create a variety of thumbnails, but it's also, they need to be pretty significantly different.
I've got this actually I'll bring it up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this thing that when we were at Workbench, I was talking to Keith Johnson about. He sent it to me, and I've really enjoyed using it.
That little cheat sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that to me. That's great. Tell the people about it.
So there are 10 like types of titles that you can use. So I have this written down for every single video, and I try hard to come up with a title for all of these different these different versions, and then it forces me to come up with new titles. So one is called loss aversion. Most people would rather not lose $20 than gain $20. So an example here would be 10 things I'm not buying in 2022. Minimalism and saving money.
Yeah.
So you can see. And then there's...
You're trying to create, like, if you watch this video, I'm going to prevent you from wasting money, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The aversion of loss. The second one is called the car crash effect. So this is when you have drama in your title, everybody on YouTube slows down and checks out your video. For example, this adult-only cruise was the worst cruise I've ever taken.
Yeah.
So somebody goes, well, I have to know what that is.
Yeah.
And so that's
this
a
woodworking project almost killed me.
Sure. So like my example for that one was the biggest mistake I ever made revisited.
Yes. I saw Keith Johnson actually recently put out a video, and I think he's got a little bit of a car crash title to it. It's bending wood is easy, ... until it isn't.
Yeah. I saw that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the shiny object syndrome. New opportunity presents hope because your audience hasn't failed at it, so they're more excited. For example, 10,000 followers in 10 days. My new strategy.
Yeah, I feel like that one, I don't know how well that titles like that work. Have you ever tried one like that?
I don't think I have, and I usually struggle to find something to fit into that one that doesn't seem just like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I
don't
always
have a lot to
struggle
say
with
about
one
that
too.
one.
And I also don't see a lot of it. That was like a very popular naming scheme. I feel like 10 years ago, you'd see a lot of videos titled like that.
So number 4 is called authority bias. Name dropping somebody's name for recognition and credibility. For example, and I don't know who this person is, so I apologize. Jordan Peterson's warning to the world: a wing and a prayer.
Ooh.
So I don't know who that is. So
how would you do that in the woodworking world? Would you say something like
that you could say
like wood shortages,
or you could say like Jonathan Katz Moses has always been wrong about this, or something like that.
Interesting.
Or Mark Spagnolo says these are the top 5 woodworkers you need to follow, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good example.
Right. I feel like that doesn't work super well in our space for what we're doing, but Number 5 is called fear of missing out. Nobody wants to miss out on potential benefits, and the best YouTubers use this to their advantage. So, for example, 7 things plant experts do that you probably don't. So you're like, okay, I got to know what that is.
Yeah.
I feel like that one is pretty easy sometimes to come up with a title. For me,
they're easy to brainstorm, but I think they're actually quite hard to get right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could draw up a list of 10 of those in like the blink of an eye, but 9.5 of them would suck. I might get like one that's like decent in there.
Some of them seem like too elementary, like
and it's a little obvious. That's like kind of like grade school clickbaiting. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are kind of hip to it now. They're like, oh, I see what you're trying to do there.
Yeah. Number 6 is contrast. Curiosity is the most powerful emotion to get people to click. Contrast pairing opposite words. For example, the 20 greatest discontinued foods of all time.
Interesting.
So you could be like, you could say the worst woodworking tools that you have to buy, or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be an interesting video.
That is an interesting video. I like that one, actually. It took me a second to understand what you meant. I was like, oh, yeah.
The greatest tools that I would never buy again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's one there for you.
I mean, there's your tool list. Put that. See, start prepping for your tool list video now.
And then I end the video saying the reason I'd never buy them again is because if you watch my video from a year and a half ago about how to get free tools, you could get all these for free. Bye. I don't know. That's still out there. Number 7. I feel like this is like the David Letterman like counting down thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 7, warnings. We are biologically wired to listen to warnings, so people are likely to pay attention to them. For example, iOS 15 settings that you need to turn off now.
Yeah. I think that's pretty common. You see a lot like, stop making these mistakes with your Finish application or...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The worst things you're doing in the wood shop or like these are ruining your 3D prints or something like that. Like, that would work.
Oh, by the way, great example of the car crash effect is your video where you were like, I lost half my business.
Yeah. That one worked well. Mm-hmm. That video still does really well.
I mean, it's evergreen.
I
Even though you're back on Instagram. I wonder if people watch that video and then they search you on Instagram. They're like, oh, this guy live for the video.
I still get that like once a month. Be like, hey, I just saw your video. Like, are you back? It looks like you're back on Instagram now. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, thanks so much. Like, it's a 2-year-old video, but I mean, most people don't look at the date on it. So I
totally. And I know you did a follow-up video too, but who knows if YouTube's actually recommending that.
Right. Number 8, confirmation bias. We all love to say, I told you so. If you show the audience that your video will give them the opportunity to say that, they're more likely to watch. For an example, how you are programmed to be poor. So everybody's like, I am poor. I know that it's not my fault. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Or that could be like how the tool industry like won't let you succeed or something, or I don't know.
How tool companies keep you poor.
Yeah. Number 9, regret aversion. Nobody wants to have regrets. So if you tell your audience about the regrets they might have, they'll watch so they can avoid them. So their example is 6 big purchases retirees almost always regret. Yeah. Or the one that everybody and their mom has used. 10 tools I regret not buying sooner.
Yeah. Or 10 tools I regret. I think didn't John from Lincoln Street do 10 tools I regret buying?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's why Android users regret using Maple in their shops.
Yeah.
Here's why Android users regret having green text bubbles. Should be it. And number 10, the last one, the curiosity gap. When the difference between what your audience knows and they want to know, they're more likely to click. For example, start doing this and you'll never be poor or broke again. Ooh. Yeah. So, yeah. That's there's all kinds of stuff.
It's a good little worksheet, and it's very good to practice it. I need to start doing it more, like every video, just going through the list and trying to do them all.
So what I try to do is I try to do all of them, and then I also have a spot that I call random titles or ideas. So I just kind of throw out some random ideas that I have, and then sometimes I'll come back and be like, oh, I could take part of this and then part of that and then add it to this one. Ooh, I kind of like that. There are all sorts of ideas, but I don't know. Well, I think that's enough there. And should we have the after show?
I think we should. We're already over time.
Yeah, we're well. Oh, I think people probably tuned out already, and then they missed 15 minutes of extra podcasting.
Yeah.
What is what is. So everybody, seriously, thank you so much for supporting the show. We will catch you next week, and if you want to get even more of this podcast where we answer tons of questions and all kinds of other stuff, check out the after show. It's linked down in the description over on Patreon, and we'll see you over there, or see you next week.
See you, everybody.
See ya.